was enjoying a bit of that music there, Liz, getting in there. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm really good. I've just literally got off my bicycle because I was in town in the radio studio doing the show, and it's the 1st of March, and I swear to God, Jane, it's wild out there. I don't know what it's like down here.
The wind in the night was horrendous. I thought the house was going to blow. I felt like Dorothy, like the Wizard of Oz.
Blow up. I can see back there, your window. I can see you've got
you can see we've got sunshine there, which is nice, but really good. But so you've just been on Liverpool Live, haven't you? That's amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be great if I could come up and join you at some point.
Absolutely. Well, do you know what we should do? We should make a weekend of it. You come up and we'll go on. We'll talk about mind sculpt. We'll talk about teenagers. We'll talk about parenting. But we can also talk about, I think we need to talk about resilience, because we were talking about resilience today as well. And I just think we could spend hours and hours and hours talking about that topic. But 2 minds together, you'd be a great guest. So I will definitely get you on.
That'd be incredible. Collaboration, strength in numbers, isn't it?
That's what it's all about. I don't believe in competition when it comes to business, Jane. And I say this so loudly all the time. It's all about your connections, your collaborations. Here, I've met some amazing people in this sphere. And I think there's strength in numbers. There really is, isn't there? So let's do stuff. And I think we'll have some exciting things to be talking to the listeners about and the followers about over the next few months, coming into the summer with some of our plans.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
For another day.
Another day. But interesting, isn't it, this week, what's been in the news about Young Minds and I think, isn't it saying that, they got 15,000 signatures in an open letter to government about rolling out mental health support hubs for young people. I know Young Minds are really championing this, as well as Dr. Alex,
great,
which is incredible. Yeah. And they're sort of saying, every young person should be able to get the support they need. Because unfortunately, that's not the case at the moment, is it?
They've got what's it? 1 in 6 kids, would say the age group between, I think what the age that was polled was teenagers. 1 in 6 present with some form of mental issue, right? Yeah. So it might not be that they've been diagnosed with something, but some form of mental, not mental illness even, just mental kind of stress, anxiety, just awful. And I think it's higher than that, to be honest, Jane. When I go into schools and I actually speak to students about resilience, and when I'm vulnerable and we allow ourselves that psychological space to be vulnerable, my goodness, at the end of the sessions, the amount of students is way more than 1 in 6 that will come and say, I'd like to have some extra support in this area or that area, or I just don't feel, confident enough in it can be as simple as public speaking in the classroom, things like that, stress level, overwhelm. Crazy.
And what I find interesting also is going into schools and talking to kids about mindset and sort of emotions and those sort of negative thoughts that come in. A lot of them initially are like, it's almost like the penny drops. It's like, I feel like that. So there is that lack of understanding and knowledge around the brain and how it works and how it can hinder you. And even just that basic education around why you might be feeling the way you do. And what I find interesting after sessions with the teams I work with is seeing that penny drop.
Lovely,
so that then they can literally think, okay, now I get it. I can cope. But just to think there's so many out there not really understanding themselves. I mean, who's to say we all understand ourselves as adults? But that's another question. But it's fascinating, isn't it? That just such a simple educational.
There are so many simple psychological tools, but one of the key things is to know you're not alone. One of the key things is to see your story reflected back in you. And I think one of the most important things is the self-awareness piece. And we talk about that all the time. With me, it's the VIA character strength.
Yeah.
When they do that survey, my goodness, their world opens up. But I'll give you an example from today. I go into a local school. It's a wonderful school. It's a visionary school. And they employ me to come in and to be a positive psychology coach with the students. So I've already done workshops with full year groups. Now I have students who select who ask to come and see me. Today it was year 10s. Now they haven't met me before. The year 11s know me well. The year 10s, a lot of them came to me because they got a slip of paper. They'd been selected by their form tutor or their teacher because they might have been presenting with stress or with worries or with certain elements of things, and they thought they were coming to a psychologist, like a traditional psychologist. And it was interesting to see that they almost had a resistance when they came to me. One of the boys, especially the boys, one of the boys came in and said, I don't even know why I'm here. I haven't done anything wrong. I don't need to see any psych. And I was like, oh, that's not me at all. I don't know how I've been marketed to you, but I'm just here to coach you, mate. And by the end of the session, he turned around to me and we were just talking about, I gave him some resources to take away. I spoke to him about his own inner vantage resources, and we looked at character strengths. We didn't have enough time to do the course, but we did have enough time for him to pick out what he thought he was strong at and give evidence to say why. And it just touched my heart because he said, I'm kind. I know I'm kind. I know I'm curious. I know I'm brave. And he gave me some examples. And I said, look at what you've got. Look at what you're working with. You are going to be amazing. You're just, and he went off feeling amazing. And I think just not even realizing that he has got that brilliance within him, because he said to me, all I have are these automatic like thoughts that are negative. And I said, well, we call them ants. Automatic negative thoughts. And we can stamp on those ants. We can stop them and tackle them and address them and create our new mantra that we can practice. And that's
isn't it interesting? It's interesting though, isn't it? The default is to go to the negative. And this is where if we can nip this at this young age and this adolescent age, you know, hopefully then they will carry on in their adult life in a much better place. Well, and it's interesting, isn't it? It's like, well, I had the same thing. Why have I been, you know, why am I here? Why am I being chosen?
I love it when they do that.
But then it's again, like I say, when the penny drops, it's like, oh, okay, that's, you know.
And it's like this, listen, this isn't a punishment. So we need to change our conversation around our well-being. We need to change our conversation with our children around mental health. We're changing it. It's shifting. It's changed so much since when we were like in school ourselves. It's changed so much since I've been working in the education sector, which is
even in the, do you know what, Liz, even in the last 3 or 4 years, it's massively changed.
It has.
You know,
it has
when I was at school, it wasn't even mentioned. You know, your brain wasn't
get on with it, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know, your brain was there to do your maths and your English, and that was it. You know,
that's it. And I think that when we know that, a lot of students come to me now, and they're well more, I think, educated when it comes into situations of the systems that don't work. They know that the education system is failing them. They know that. They know that they're just numbers, that it's data driven. They know that. They know that their mental health is failing because it's all about the end game. And when you say, listen, you think you've got no agency, but you have, mate. And here's how you take back the power. You play the game. You do the things you have to do, and you stop moaning for a start. That's where I start. That's my start all the time. Let's take back control. Let's change the story that we're telling ourselves. Let's stop saying they sent me. They make me do this. I've got to do this because of that. And take back a little bit of ownership of what you actually can control in your life. And as a teenager, we know there isn't that much there, but there's plenty when it comes to your mental strength.
And fascinating to get them to focus in on their strengths. You know, because it's the weaknesses that we all see within ourselves, isn't it? And and as parents, you know, it's a really, really good tool. This VIA VIA.org, is it?
VIA character.
Free online tool, isn't it?
It is amazing. I was saying this earlier. I was in a school yesterday, and I was doing it with a group of really naughty boys, right? Year 11. Naughty boys. They've been having an ongoing detention for poor behavior choices. So I've been going in and working with them as a positive psychology coach, and I was doing this, and one of the special educational needs teachers came in and said, "What is this? Has the school bought into this? This is amazing." I said, "No, this is absolutely free. Everyone can do it." And she said, "I think I'll do it." I said, "I would urge you to." Yes. I urge small children to do it. One of the oldest clients I've had who's done VIA and has used it to change her life is 75.
Wow, incredible.
75, and she learned loads from it. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, amazing. It's incredible. And I think as a parent, it really gets you, it helps you maybe understand your child a little bit better. Because what my strengths are going to be very different to what my daughter's strengths are. And sometimes, you know, if we're not careful as parents, we try and put onto our kids what we think is right for them, but actually deep down it's not. So it's finding themselves, it's helping them find themselves as well, isn't it? To understand.
It is. I use it with the kids. You know, if my son is very funny and very dry, very, you know, he can be caustic, and it does crack me up sometimes. But his observational humor is very good. And I'll remind him, you know, I'll say, like, when he's stressed, I'll say, "Listen, mate, your top strength, it was humor. Your top strength is humor. Turn it around. You can turn it around and make this really funny." And he's like, yeah, I know what you mean. Because he's doing his A-levels like your daughter.
Yeah.
They're in the same year, aren't they? It's
a
tough time for them between that and university applications and deciding what to do with their life. So I think when they know what their character strengths are, the top 5 strengths especially, which would be their signature strengths, they can try and align their choices in life with that, as can we. And I can also say, you know, for me, you know, if creativity is my top strength, the kids understand that when I'm actually in flow and I'm doing things for the business or creating stuff, they understand that if I am being a bit short, like, no, not now, that it's not a reflection on them. Exercising that strength of mine. So, and I think if we can encourage everybody to get their character strengths and actually survey, you might be finding that the hubs which are essential, they're going to be essential well-being hubs. There aren't enough of them. They're for early intervention. How amazing would it be in primary schools to give to kids this knowledge? So they know that when they actually are stressed or when they're worried, that they're not alone and they have their own strengths that they can actually go and harness. And use. How amazing.
I will put the link in after this session. I'll put it into the link in the comments at the bottom. But I highly recommend that we do that. And it's interesting, isn't it? You know, we talk about teens, you know, going through their, you know, adolescence and stuff, but then again, just touching on sort of A-level students and the students that, you know, or the teens that are 17 and 18, just thinking about them turning into that, you know, supposedly adults at 18 can be a really difficult time, can't it, for them? And I mean, I work with a lot of teens or a lot of 17, 18-year-olds that are really quite fearful of suddenly being labeled or called an adult. They have this sort of, you know, that sort of freeze almost in that anxiety, that freeze state that they get into. So it's not just the younger teens or the sort of, you know, as they're going through, but it's actually thinking about you know, when youngsters turn into adults can be a really difficult time as well.
It's a challenging time because you suddenly go from, like, the night before you're a kid still to suddenly being an adult. And to be honest with you, I think childhood and, you know, young adolescence is extending and extending and extending because of the culture that we live in and the situation with the housing crisis. More kids are staying at home for a lot longer. Some, you know, there's 30-year-olds still living in their family, their place of origin, their family home. And it's easy to, you know, I think that whole kind of idea of the eternal youth. See, I still sometimes don't feel like an adult, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm in my 50s, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know. It's scary, isn't it?
It's a big one. It's a big one. But I think to be able to navigate that with societal expectations is a difficult one to straddle, isn't it? Because especially if they're still living at home, they're still not 100%, you know, owning their lives. They don't have that agency, and it can throw up some challenging situations.
It can be a struggle, isn't it? And I think also identifying, you know, trying to find their own identities, and that sort of straddling of you know, I'm still feeling, you know, like a child, but I am an adult, and just trying to find that identity is really tough. Yeah. And I think in today's ever-changing world that we're in today, I mean, we, you know, even up my ripe old age, I'm having to adjust and to rethink things, and yeah, with the social media things that are thrown at kids every day now, it's tough, isn't it?
It is a tough one. It's a tough one, and they get, you know, they get quite a lot of backlash sometimes from the mainstream media, don't they? The whole kind of idea of the woke generation or the snowflakes. And I think it's so unfair, because all I see, and I'm sure you'll vouch for this as well, Jane, what I tend to find coming in front of me, you do have the students who are like, I can't do it, I won't do it, I don't want to do it. But when you can flip around that script and show them that they've got the power, on the whole, kids are really malleable when it comes to changing the script and realizing that they can take control of their destiny a little bit more.
And sometimes those responses come from a place of fear, and fear is very much the fact of, well, I can't do it, I won't do it, is because they're fearful of what it, you know, what the outcomes are going to be. So, you know, it's also, as adults, or, you know, as for me as a teen coach, it's reading between the lines of what's being said is so important.
Jane, can I start? Are we recording? Is it recording?
Yes,
oh, good. Just for the people who might be watching. we had a little bit of a disaster a few weeks ago. We thought we recorded, didn't we? Chatted away, had a great time, then came off air and realized, oh, we hadn't recorded. And I've done it as well with the podcast recently, as I was saying.
That's in the forefront of our mind. No, we are 17 minutes
sorry for everyone.
And recording.
A little bit of housekeeping there, just to
oh dear.
But that's why I think this campaign, the Fund the Hubs campaign that has been spearheaded by YoungMinds, has been so powerful. And I think that, you know, if nothing else, I mean, I think what they managed to raise was something like 8 million, and the government is investing in 24 hubs. Jane, I could stand outside this door, throw a stone, and I'd hit 24 schools. So it ain't great for an entire country, but it's a start, I suppose. I think what we do need to be having these conversations more readily in schools, rather than just an add-on for personal and social health education, PSHE. You know, and I think that schools need to have that vision to be able to fund programs like the programs yourself and myself run. And actually bring in experts.
Don't get me on my soapbox re-education, because I think it just needs a massive shake-up, full stop, you know, and re-looked at, because it's having those transferable skills, isn't it, today? And you know, and being able to be adaptable under stressful situations, because what we're saying, we're not trying to just, you know, push stressful situations away and make everything, you know, life is tough. There are going to be stressful situations that kids, when they are adults, are going to come across, and it's about educating them to be adaptable in those situations, and you know, and also looking at jobs the kids are going to be doing. You know, the kids starting reception today, those jobs that they'll be doing later in life probably aren't even out there yet. So you know, it's about you know, having the transferable skills to be able to be put into a job that you can then cope, and you're not then stressed or put under, you know, being put in a stressful situation. So anyway, that's a minefield of its own, but one that is close to my heart.
And mine too, because I think that, you know, funding the hubs is brilliant. Getting mental health and well-being hubs is brilliant. Getting more professionals, getting more experts on the ground is brilliant. And I think, I think we also need to have far more exposure to conversations like the conversations we have. And I am always gobsmacked because I assume everybody's on the same page, because I live in this world. I immerse myself in positive psychology, everything I listen to, everything I read, people I hang out with, they are all on the same page. So when I actually announce, or if I give somebody a tool, especially students, I assume that they follow this on TikTok and they see it all. And they're like, wow, that's amazing. And it can be just a really simple thing. And you think, wow, how have you got through life without knowing this? You know, it's really quite shocking. So don't take things. What I suppose I'm trying to say is sometimes I assume. I make assumptions. Assumptions are not very safe, but I make assumptions that a lot of the kids I might be working with already know this. I've changed that script completely, Jane, in the past few years. I assume that they're coming from a place of, they have a little bit of emotional intelligence, but my goodness, when they realize what they have inside them and the brilliance that they have and their strengths, that's when the world completely shifts and they can take control of their own destiny. I say that,
absolutely.
It sounds very grand, but on the whole, and it is very much down to the things we talk about, habits that serve you, living a life with intention, making sure that you're showing up for yourself from the minute you wake up. And and I know we have days when we don't do that, and that's okay. So it's been able to give yourself that space to sit and binge watch, the Australian Apprentice or whatever it is. That's what I've been watching at the moment. I love it.
Oh, I've been married at first sight, Australia. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious.
Because I just OD'd on all of those dating shows, I had to stop. So I've actually given myself a real, firm line in the sand when it comes to dating shows. Otherwise, once I watch one, I'm gone. So I've stopped that, but I still allow myself The Apprentice. I look at it as research because I'm a businesswoman.
Do they have an equivalent of Alan Sugar over there, or is it him? I haven't seen that one.
It's him.
Brilliant. Oh my goodness.
And because they don't know him and he doesn't know them, it's great to see that dynamic, because you see all the egos of the celebrities, and we watch it not knowing who they are either. So it's really interesting to watch that dynamic evolve and how they interact with each other. It's great TV. But Married at First Sight, you're not the first person to remind me that that's on. And it really is taking every fiber in my body not to turn it on and watch it.
It's my guilty pleasure, I have to say. But hey,
I do love it. I do love it. But
anyway, that's good for our mental health, isn't it? Just to switch off and not, watch something numbing, which is great. It is.
But that's the thing with me. That's me understanding what I can mess with. I can't mess with reality TV dating shows, just as I can't mess with alcohol. I've accepted that. so I know that one always leads to more. So with that, I'm just going to step back. Otherwise, my weekend is gone watching that.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm not quite that bad, but that is very funny.
Self-regulation is my lowest on my character strength. So
is it? But again, that's really good information to have and to know, about yourself. But actually, as a parent, if you can see what your child's lowest strength is, then we can, you can work to bump it up a bit and for them to improve it, or to see what things to avoid so that it doesn't stay at the bottom. But
that's it. And the kids will say to me, my kids will say to me when I'm in the middle of a Married at First Sight binge, my daughter jokes and she'll be like, what's going on with the self-regulation here, Mum?
Gives them the ammunition, doesn't it? That's for sure.
So it shows that you also, you have strengths and weaknesses, and remember, your bottom strengths are not your weaknesses. They just don't reveal themselves as loudly as your top strengths. So I could talk about strengths forever, because I think if we could try and get that on the curriculum and work with every child,
back to schools again, talking about curriculum, the teachers do a brilliant job, and that's what they're there for, is their curriculum, English, math, whatever. But this is where experts and people who can come in and do the others, because teachers can't do everything. I mean, their workloads are massive for a start.
Workload is disgusting.
Well, you know that firsthand.
It's crazy. And all you're seeing is burnout, Jane. In the next 5 years, 50% of the teaching profession are intending to leave. This is how bad it is. It's crazy. And we can talk until we're blue in the face about bringing in early intervention when it comes to mental health initiatives. But don't pile it on the teacher.
Exactly.
Take some of the teacher's burden off them for a start. I mean, we should be looking towards Scandinavia and how their teachers are treated. They're given like days to plan and things like that. You don't get that in this country. It's crazy. You don't get this in any profession. So I think really, that's why just by bringing people in who might be, even if it's only like I do in that school once a week for a couple of hours, the students know me, they know I'm there, and it raises the profile of positive psychology. So they might just see me on the corridor and say, "Oh, hi, Liz." And then they'll remember, "Oh yeah, I must do or the gratitude practice that I'm doing."
And sometimes it's just that clocking eyes with someone, or just having that smile that then reignites something in them to think, "Oh yeah, I must remember to think about my strengths today," or whatever. But it's that recognition, isn't it?
I also think it shows they're putting their money where their mouth is as an institution. What they're saying is, these are our values. We value you as students. We value your mental health. We also value our staff, because Liz works with them as well. So we've become a school that values being strength-based as opposed to being like looking at what's strong as opposed to what's wrong. We are a school that values your mental health and your well-being. And I think when they start to raise that, and it just needs to be coming in to do the odd assembly, working maybe on an ongoing basis, but being in the newsletter, maybe writing a little column every now and then, enabling the school and the parent. And I work with parents in that school.
But exactly. But this is also creating awareness for parents that there is help out there. Like yourself and myself. We're going to have to wrap this up, but investing in teen coaching is so important. So whether it's through schools, whether it's parents investing, whatever, but actually just knowing that there is support and help out there.
Where can people find you, Jane? Because I know you do one-to-one sessions and they're absolutely brilliant. If somebody's watching this now today, where could they find you if they need to track you down?
My website, mindsculpt.co.uk, or just reach me through LinkedIn or Facebook, anywhere really. I'm on social media, Instagram, but just reach out. And discovery calls with parents, happy to do free calls just to start talking, start things, just igniting things, starting things up. But
it's
but
so
Liz,
important.
I think and you and I need to be pushing this out more. And
we do. And I think what I'd like people to realize is that's what we do. We do one-to-one sessions. We don't just go into institutions and work there as well. So I think that's a key thing. If you're watching this now, and if you know somebody who might need Jane's expertise with teens or with parents, or my expertise as a positive psychologist or an addiction coach, or a coach that will help your children with their study, whatever, both of us do that. We're both skilled in that. You can find me on lizvolan.com, my website. But I think, like you, Jane, it's easier to just DM us, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
LinkedIn or on Facebook.
I think we're pretty approachable, aren't we, Liz?
I think so. We won't bite your head off. But the thing is, we've got so many free resources as well. There's so much out there. And this is why we put this out for free. We do things like this because it's important that this.
And I think also, I'm very happy to signpost people if they need some help on what to look at and stuff. So, Liz, as ever, great to chat to you.
And you too.
Stay blessed, and let's keep the conversation going.
Keep following. If you haven't followed it, look at Fund the Hubs. Look at YoungMinds.com and just sign up for their petition. Keep signing up. Keep pushing this, because we need to get these hubs for young people. But we also need to be having conversations like this, because I don't want to see any more of any more stress or mental health when it comes to children struggling that unnecessarily, you know. Mention, let's get there. Let's take this on, you know, on board. Our kids are precious.
They are. You take care.